Thanks to all the subscribers. Please like, subscribe, and comment. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Today, we have two stories. The first starts with a man who once led a faction of the Bloods gang in Trenton, New Jersey, and a casino, the Q Time 777, in Lake City, Florida. An attempted shooting gone wrong, leaving the would-be shooter dead. The shooter being Bayshine Leary, 42, back in the mid-2000s, was a leader of the gangster killer Bloods, now known as G-Shine, authorities say. Leary was involved in a heated dispute at the casino. Security was called and he was asked to leave. Leary seemingly complies and leaves the casino without any further trouble. However, he returns a short time later and he is armed with a firearm. He enters the casino, locates a target, a woman standing inside the casino. Witnesses told investigators that Leary attempted to shoot the woman at point-blank range, but things didn't go according to Leary's plans. The gun jammed. The malfunction gave the woman a chance to get out of harm's way. Leary clears. The pistol malfunction opens fire, randomly shooting multiple times, hitting no one. An armed security guard rushes to the gambling floor and starts to engage Leary. The two exchange gunfire and the gunfight is on. Ultimately, Leary would not come out the winner of this fight. The security guard shot and killed Leary. Leary was the only person struck by gunfire that night. Leary died at the scene at about 3 a.m. He was 42 years old. Bayshine Leary's story ends in Florida, but his origins are from New Jersey. Leary had a long criminal record and was in and out of prison for various serious violent offenses. In January 2005, a Crips gang member was shot 5 times while sitting on an NJ transit bus on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. During the burst of gunfire, a 12-year-old Hamilton girl was wounded in the chest, suffering a collapsed lung. Leary claimed ownership of the gun that was used in the shooting. Leary and Leon Buddha McClendon, then 17, were found the following day in a car with a 9mm handgun. The quick-thinking bus driver headed straight for a city hospital, and both victims survived. McClendon, just 17, was arrested and charged with the crime a short time later. Authorities said McClendon, a Bloods gang member, was trying to kill Jason Pecco, then 22 years old, who authorities said was a Crip. In May of 2008, McClendon was sentenced to 6 years in prison for aggravated assault as part of a plea bargain in which prosecutors dropped attempted murder and weapon possession offenses. As part of a plea deal for that case, charges were dropped against Leary for the March 2005 shooting. He had been accused of directing other members of his gang to fire at a group of men to drive them up the street to where he and others were waiting, prosecutors said at the time. The gangster Leon Buddha McClendon, who shot the rival gang member on an NJ transit bus in 2005 and wounded the innocent 12-year-old girl. Buddha's story ends strikingly similar to Bayshine Leary's story. On a Friday night, police found Leon Buddha McClendon, 28, suffering from a gunshot wound at 10:45 p.m. on Sweets Avenue in North Trenton, New Jersey. Trenton Police's ShotSpotter gunfire detection system alerted patrol officers to multiple shots being fired on Sweets Avenue, and officers found McClendon moments later behind the wheel of a car. McClendon was rushed to Capital Health Systems Regional Medical Center in Trenton, where he lived through the night before succumbing that Saturday. In March 2006, Leary was sentenced to 7 years on a gun charge and had to serve at least 5 years behind bars. After being released, Leary ends up pleading guilty to charges related to shooting a 41-year-old man in February 2012 and was sentenced to 5 years, state corrections records show. He was released on parole supervision for 3 years. While on parole, Leary's parole officers made a routine visit to his home, found a handgun, and issued a warrant for his arrest. Parole board spokesman Bob McHugh said Leary faced charges for unlawful possession of a weapon, certain persons not to have a weapon, and possession of dum-dum bullets. He was taken to the Mercer County Correction Center. It's unclear when Leary arrived in the Sunshine State. Leary did have a Lake City address, the Columbia Sheriff's Office said, but it's unclear how long he'd been in Florida. The department had no prior contact with him. Heading to upstate New York, we have another G-Shine Blood member who died recently, Robert Lockley, known as the King Lockley. He escaped the heat he was under from police in New York City and set up in Newburgh, which has become another hotspot of gangs, drugs, and guns. When he was arrested in 2010, Lockley was known as a high-ranking member of the Bloods. He died in prison in 2015. Police discovered handguns with their serial numbers scraped off, a loaded assault rifle, and a bulletproof vest with a fake police officer's badge on Friday morning when they crashed through the front door of a suburban home. Neighbors had long suspected the late-night traffic in and out of 64 Rock Cut Road was a sign of illicit activity. But even police were surprised by what they found inside the large split level. The walls were painted in an apparent tribute to the Bloods gang, and the inhabitants were armed as if preparing for battle. Lieutenant Michael Clancy said 39-year-old Robert Lockley, known as a Blood in Kingston, slept with a loaded .45 caliber handgun under his mattress. A .223 caliber Ruger rifle had been fitted with a curved clip that held 30 rounds. Police found 2 9mm handguns and a black Bushmaster assault rifle that looked like it came out of a war movie. People would be surprised to know people like this are living next to them, Clancy said. The cops crept up on the house at 5:45 a.m., raised a small explosive attached to a pole to an upstairs window, and detonated it. The flash bang was only a distraction to cover the cops as they stormed inside. The town's tactical unit was joined by a similar unit from the city of Newburgh, along with state police and 2 Kingston detectives. Clancy said they found 7 people inside. Lockley and Spotards were charged with possessing weapons and small amounts of drugs. Police also recovered scales, packaging materials, ecstasy pills, several $1,000s in cash, and 2 cars, a Mercedes and a Mitsubishi. In 2007, Lockley punched a woman in the face. During the assault, Lockley displayed a handgun and threatened the woman's 60-year-old grandmother as she ran to the woman's aid. 2 months prior to that incident, an order of protection had been issued directing Lockley to stay away from her. Following the 2007 incident, Lockley fled the jurisdiction. Lockley was later arrested in May 2009. After the second day of testimony, Lockley again fled the jurisdiction. The trial continued in Lockley's absence and resulted in a conviction on charges of felony aggravated criminal contempt, misdemeanor assault, and misdemeanor menacing. A bench warrant was then issued for Lockley's arrest, and efforts were made to locate him, Carnwright said. He said Lockley was found April 16th in a Newburgh home during the execution of a search warrant on an unrelated case. As a result of that search warrant, Lockley pleaded guilty to felony attempted criminal possession of a weapon and was sentenced as a second violent felony offender to 3 years in state prison. Lockley has ties to Kingston, Poughkeepsie, Newburgh, Queens, and the Bronx. He said Lockley had been charged with more than 6 prior incidents of domestic violence involving at least 3 previous girlfriends. He has a continuous criminal history dating back to 1988, including 3 previous felony convictions on charges of robbery, possession of stolen property, and sale of a controlled substance. G-Shine, formerly known as Gangsta Killer Bloods, is a Bloods gang subset that evolved from the UBN United Blood Nation in the 1990s. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, G-Shine originated in the New York, New Jersey area and migrated along the East Coast. It now has a presence in multiple states, including New York, New Jersey, North Carolina, and South Carolina. G-Shine's gang members and associates engage in the sale of narcotics, including heroin, fentanyl, oxycodone, crack cocaine, and other substances, and use firearms to defend themselves and their criminal enterprise. Although there are convictions in this matter, I must stress that an indictment is not evidence of guilt. Charges are only allegations, and each defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Blessings. Luke 17:3-4. If your brother sins, rebuke him, and if he repents, forgive him.